The Miami Dolphins, yes, that Miami, with the fastest offense in the league and zero patience for mediocrity, just made it loud and clear. They see Shedeur Sanders as ready, as in plug-and-play ready, as in we'll trade for him right now if you don't want him ready. And while Dolphins execs are making calls, exploring packages, and preparing for a possible post-Tua contingency, Andrew Berry, the Browns GM, is standing in a media room somewhere, blinking like he just got hit by a truck full of consequences. Because the Browns thought they could stash Shedeur, thought they could buy time, thought they could gaslight the public with talk of quarterback depth and equal opportunity. But the second another team picked up the phone, the house of cards, it collapsed. And now all eyes are on Cleveland. Because the question has shifted from why aren't they playing Shedeur to are they about to lose him? Let's rewind, because this didn't just start with Miami's interest. This started the moment Shedeur touched down in Cleveland and was met not with an open QB competition, but with a predetermined pecking order. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. He wasn't treated like the future. He was treated like a headline, a PR acquisition, a walking storyline to sell jerseys and hype up fans before being quietly tucked away in the third-string shadows. And the worst part? He delivered in camp, in the film room, in limited preseason snaps. Reports leaked out from scouts, assistants, and even rival coaches that Shedeur was outclassing expectations. He was sharp, fast, calm under pressure, processing the field like a vet, still no movement, still relegated to the sidelines while the same old excuses played out in the press conferences. And then came the Dolphins. And the Browns? Completely caught off guard, because what was supposed to be an internal controversy just burst open into a league-wide drama, one that can't be walked back with a media statement. Because now there's proof, not just whispers. Teams around the league, Atlanta, New England, Minnesota, are circling, watching, waiting. Because here's the thing about talent. You can suppress it for a while. You can pretend it's not ready or still developing. But when other teams start lining up, offering draft capital and ready-to-go systems, that charade dies instantly. And what's Cleveland going to say then? He just didn't fit our scheme? Oh, come on. You don't sideline a potential franchise quarterback for scheme. You sideline him for ego, for control, for fear of change. And now, that fear might cost you the best shot you've had at sustained success in decades. Let's look at this from Miami's point of view. They're not desperate. They've got Tua, an MVP candidate when healthy, and an offense that looks like it was designed in a video game. But they're also smart, calculating. They know Tua's long-term durability is still a question. They know a QB2 with real starting potential is a luxury that could make or break a season. So when they see Cleveland wasting Shedeur, that's not just a trade opportunity. That is still waiting to happen. And if they get him, imagine it. Shedeur steps into that offense. Fast receivers, smart coaching, clean system, a locker room that wants him. He learns, he develops, and when the time comes, when the moment hits, he steps in and doesn't just manage the game, he changes it. And meanwhile, back in Cleveland, Kevin Stefanski is still standing at the podium, talking about consistency at the position. Andrew Berry is fielding calls from reporters asking if the rumors are true. And Browns fans, they're done because they've seen this movie before. It's got a familiar script. The Browns find a player with talent, mishandle him, downplay him, lose him, watch him become a star somewhere else, and then spend the next 3 seasons looking for the next guy. Wash, rinse, regret. But this time it's different. This time, everyone is watching it unfold in real time. And this time, the player in question knows his value. Because Shedeur isn't just some rookie out of nowhere. He's been under a microscope his entire career. He's dealt with pressure, cameras, criticism, expectations before he ever stepped into an NFL building. He's already been battle-tested. And he's not here to be anybody's project. He's here to be the guy. And if the Browns can't see that, then someone else will. Now let's talk fan reaction. because this might be the most damning part of all. Browns fans, who've suffered through 30 quarterbacks in 25 years, finally see a player they can believe in. A young leader with confidence, vision, presence. And instead of giving him a real shot, the organization buries him and acts like no one's noticing. Spoiler: people are not only noticing, they're furious. The fan base is turning, not just frustrated, ready to revolt. X is on fire. TikTok's loaded with edits of Shedeur in a Dolphins jersey, hitting Jalen Waddle on slants. Reddit's got breakdown threads comparing Shedeur's preseason reads to the Browns starter, and it's not close. Even neutral fans, people who don't care about Cleveland or Miami, are picking sides. And let's just say, the Browns aren't winning the court of public opinion. Why? Because this isn't about just one player. This is about trust. This is about a fan base that's watched its team consistently make the safe choice, the political choice, the short-term Band-Aid, instead of trusting talent. It's not just a missed opportunity anymore. It's a betrayal. And if Cleveland trades him now, it's not going to feel strategic. It's going to feel cowardly, because they didn't play him. They didn't believe in him. They didn't build around him. They just panicked, cashed out, and hoped no one would remember. But they will remember. And if Shedeur ends up lighting up the scoreboard in Miami, that'll be Cleveland's legacy. Not the team that developed a star. Not the team that finally broke the cycle. But the team that once again let greatness walk out the door. So what now? Cleveland has two options. Option one: wake up, put Shedeur in the game. Let him take first-team reps. Let the football speak. Show the world you're not scared of success just because it doesn't look the way you expected. Option two: trade him. Accept that you blew it. Watch him flourish somewhere else. And prepare to spend the next 5 years explaining why you let your best quarterback prospect in decades slip away. Because what? The timing wasn't right? Yeah. Try saying that with a straight face when he's leading a playoff team. So what's it going to be, Cleveland? Take a risk or be the risk? Your move. Now drop a comment. Should Cleveland give Shedeur the keys or send him to a team that wants him? And if he's traded, where do you want to see him land? Subscribe for the next twist, because in this league, quarterbacks rise, franchises fall, and the clock never stops ticking. The Miami Dolphins want Shedeur Sanders. The league knows it. Fans know it. Media knows it. And Cleveland? They're standing center stage, frozen in the spotlight, desperately pretending the curtains haven't already been ripped open. Let's break this down for what it really is. This isn't just about a trade. This is about control, ego, power. Because Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's a narrative disruptor. He's not waiting his turn. He's not playing political games. He's not nodding politely through "you'll get your shot" speeches that lead to nowhere. He's coming for a starting role. And that scares the hell out of Cleveland's front office. Because what happens if you let Shedeur on the field and he succeeds? Suddenly, everything you built, your system, your depth chart, your entire quarterback development plan, gets flipped upside down. Suddenly, Kevin Stefanski isn't a chess master with the long-term vision. Suddenly, Andrew Berry isn't a savvy GM playing 4D roster strategy. No. Suddenly, they're the guys who try to sit on a superstar like he was a backup with potential. That's what this is really about. Not readiness. Not experience. Not learning the playbook. This is about pride. They don't want Shedeur to be great yet, because they didn't plan for it. And nothing messes up an NFL front office faster than a player who's ahead of schedule. You think Miami cares about that? Absolutely not. If anything, they want disruption. They're the team that turned their offense into a track meet that made every analyst question the old-school mold. They don't fear new energy. They capitalize on it. So when they saw Cleveland slow-playing Shedeur, what did they do? They made a call. One phone call that sent a jolt through the entire Browns organization. And now, there's a tremor under every press conference, every practice, every press leak that starts with "we like our quarterback room." You know what that sounds like? Fear. Because now the pressure isn't just coming from the fans. It's coming from other teams, from rival executives, from sports media, from players. And let's not pretend Shedeur hasn't earned the spotlight. This isn't a PR stunt. This isn't just the son of Deion Sanders being boosted by name recognition. No, this is a baller who put in the work, handled the pressure, showed up on the field, and made it obvious he's the real deal. So why isn't he playing? Why is he sitting behind guys who, let's be real, don't move the needle? Because Cleveland doesn't just have a quarterback decision to make. They have an identity crisis to confront. Are they the kind of team that trusts their eyes, takes bold steps, and develops future stars? Or are they the team that clings to outdated hierarchies and hopes the league forgets when another star walks out the door? Because make no mistake, if they trade Shedeur, that's what they're doing. They're giving up on what could have been their guy, the one who brought fans back to life, the one who didn't just flash talent but presence, the one who made Cleveland feel like it could finally matter again in the quarterback conversation. And once he's gone, they don't get that back. You don't just plug another arm into that uniform and call it even. You don't draft another project next year and hope for lightning to strike twice. Because Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's a moment, a cultural shift, a player who could have been a turning point in a city desperate for one. But instead, they stalled, they deflected, they played scared. And now the rest of the league smells blood. Miami's interest is only the beginning. If Cleveland so much as answers that call, the next ones come fast. Atlanta, Minnesota, New England, maybe even teams like the Giants or Seahawks. Anyone with shaky QB situations, smart offensive systems, and room for a leader. They're not going to sit around and let Cleveland keep him in a glass box labeled potential. No, they'll offer the keys, the stage, the system, the reps. And the Browns? They'll be left watching clips of their former rookie firing darts in another team's jersey, leading fourth-quarter comebacks, giving locker room speeches, and going viral for actually doing what they were too afraid to let him try. Imagine that feeling. You had him, you sat him, you lost him, and you deserved it. That's what happens when you prioritize structure over instinct, when you let the plan outweigh the proof, when you bench a quarterback with juice because you're scared of what it might say about your own decisions. So what can Cleveland do now? Honestly, not much. The window's closing. Fast. But if they have any hope of salvaging this, it starts with one thing. Let the kid play. Not next month. Not when he's ready. Not after 5 more press conferences and 1,000 more empty words. Now, put Shedeur in a real preseason game. Give him first-team reps. Let him show on the field why the Dolphins are making calls. Because if you don't, you'll lose him. And when you do, you won't just lose a quarterback. You'll lose everything you could have been. That's the reality of this league. It doesn't wait. It doesn't reward caution. It doesn't care how many spreadsheets you filled out during the offseason. It rewards teams who trust their talent and move. Miami's ready to do that. Are you? Now we're standing on the edge of what could be the most avoidable disaster in modern NFL quarterback management. Because this isn't about potential anymore. This isn't about letting things play out. That clock is run out. This is about urgency. This is about a team on the verge of letting fear dictate their future. Let's be real for a second. What exactly are the Browns afraid of? Because let's not pretend this is about scheme or locker room chemistry or veteran deference. This is about something a whole lot uglier. What if Shedeur really is that good and they're the ones who fail to see it? That's the question haunting Berea right now. Not whether Shedeur could be a starter someday, but whether he should have already been one. And when a player exposes that kind of miscalculation, the instinct isn't always to correct it. Sometimes it's to bury it. Play him now, and you admit you were wrong to wait. Let another team play him, and you risk him making you look foolish in prime time. So instead, you stall. You say we're still evaluating. You lean on meaningless preseason rotations and cryptic coach speak. You pretend the walls aren't closing in, but they are, and the pressure is no longer just from within. It's external, national, unrelenting. Because when the Dolphins, a legitimate playoff threat, start poking around, the league listens. Media listens. Players listen. And fans? They start to boil. The Browns fan base, bless them, has been through everything. The jersey with 30-plus crossed-out QB names? That wasn't a meme. It was therapy. It was a monument to endurance. And now, after all that suffering, they finally see a guy who feels different, who looks poised, who commands a huddle, who walks into the NFL with the composure of a 10-year vet. And the organization is just sitting on him, not because he's failing, not because he's immature, but because it would force them to change course. You want to talk about franchise malpractice? That's it right there. Because this league doesn't hand out do-overs. It doesn't wait for your front office to get its feelings sorted. If you've got a guy, you build around him. You don't bench him while rivals build trade offers in real time. And don't kid yourself, other GMs are ready. The minute Cleveland shows weakness, the minute they say we're exploring options, phones ring, offers fly. And just like that, Shedeur is gone, not just from your depth chart, but from your future. And who picks him up? A team that gets it. A team that's not afraid of bold moves. A team that knows the value of momentum. Can you picture it? Shedeur gets traded to Miami, learns under Tua, absorbs McDaniel's playbook like a sponge, and then, boom! One Sunday, Tua tweaks something. Shedeur steps in. The offense doesn't drop off. If anything, it evolves. Suddenly, you've got highlight clips on repeat. TikToks with 2 million views. Commentary that says, why didn't Cleveland give him a shot? And somewhere, Kevin Stefanski is watching from a press box, face frozen like someone just unplugged his headset. This is not speculation. This is a pattern. You think other players aren't watching this? You think future draft picks and agents and free agents aren't looking at how Cleveland treats its most promising young quarterback and going, yeah, maybe not there? Because that's what's really at stake here. Not just one player's career, but the entire reputation of the Browns as a place where talent can thrive. Let's not forget, the NFL is a small world. Word spreads fast. And once you get a reputation for mismanaging your best players, it sticks. Just ask the Jets. Just ask Washington. Now look, we've talked about the fear. We've talked about the trade rumors. But let's flip it one more time and ask the actual question Cleveland should be losing sleep over. What if Shedeur doesn't want to stay anymore? Because up until now, he's been nothing but professional. No cryptic tweets. No passive-aggressive interviews. Just quiet work, public poise, and that I'll let the tape talk energy. But behind the scenes, you know the conversations are happening. Not just with his agent, not just with his dad, but with people in the league, with veterans, with coaches, with players who've seen this game from every angle and know what's coming. And what's coming is this. If Shedeur doesn't get meaningful reps and fast, he's going to walk. Whether it's a trade request or a quiet exit next season, the message will be the same. You had your shot. You wasted it. And if you think Cleveland has the leverage here, think again. Because in the modern NFL, players with brand power, fan backing, and league-wide respect, they don't sit in the corner, politely waiting for permission. They move. And Shedeur, more than almost anyone in this rookie class, has that power, that cultural clout, that ability to shift an entire narrative just by switching jerseys. So, what are the Browns actually going to do? That's the million-dollar question. Option A, keep dragging their feet. Keep letting fear and pride run the depth chart. Hope it all magically blows over. Option B, swallow the pride. Call the meeting. Let Shedeur know he's in the plan. Actually, in the plan. Not just on the roster, but in the game. Because until that happens, they're not just risking a player. They're risking their entire identity. And I don't say that lightly, because this could have been it. This could have been the turning point. The post-Baker, post-chaos, post-rebuild moment where they finally said, we're all in on the future. Where they bet on the quarterback who didn't just show promise, but showed presence. Instead, they're being shown the door. By Miami, by the fans, by the entire football world watching this in disbelief. So, Cleveland, where are you going to be? The franchise that fumbled yet another quarterback? Or the franchise that finally said, let's ride? Let us know below. Does Cleveland still have time to fix this? Or is it already too late? Should Shedeur demand a trade? Or force their hand by winning the job outright? And don't forget to subscribe, because this isn't just a preseason rumor anymore. This is the NFL's next quarterback power shift, and the clock is ticking. Because at this point, the only thing more shocking than the Browns' refusal to play Shedeur Sanders is their belief that they can keep doing this without consequences. And yet, here they are, still stalling, still tossing out empty phrases like trust the process and we're evaluating the room, while the rest of the league is literally circling like sharks. It's not subtle anymore. It's not behind closed doors. The Dolphins picked up the phone. The league knows. The fans know. And somewhere deep down, you can bet Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry know, too. They're just trying to pretend this isn't exactly what it looks like. A franchise scared of being proven wrong. Because if Shedeur steps on the field and shines, if he starts connecting on deep balls, orchestrating 2-minute drives, and lighting a fire under a dead offense, then suddenly this entire house of cards, the hierarchy, the development plan, the quarterback pecking order, it all falls apart. So they're dragging it out, not because he's not ready, not because he hasn't earned it, but because acknowledging his rise would mean admitting they got it wrong from the jump. And there's something about that kind of insecurity that you just can't hide in the NFL. It leaks into locker room, into the media, into the way fans look at your leadership. And right now, it's leaking everywhere. Meanwhile, Shedeur, he's sitting there, watching it all unfold. Calm, professional, silent, which is honestly terrifying. Because that silence, that's not surrender. That's calculation. That's a young man who knows his value and knows the moment is coming. If not here, then somewhere else. And Cleveland should be terrified of that. Because if he gets traded and he thrives, and let's be real, he will, there will be no mercy in the aftermath. This won't be a both sides needed a fresh start situation. This will be the failure that defines Cleveland for the next decade. A player who had the poise, the polish, the potential to be a franchise QB, and they let him go because they couldn't get out of their own way. So here it is, Cleveland. One last chance to turn this around. Bench the ego, play the kid, or get ready to watch your future throw touchdowns in another jersey, while the world watches you ask, how do we let this happen again? All right, your move. Would you start Shedeur this Sunday? Or do you trade him now and admit you missed the moment? Drop your thoughts below and hit that subscribe button, because the next chapter of this story is not going to wait. And neither is he.